Devotion today is from Psalm chapter 14, and it is quite a heavy psalm. But before we get into that, let's remember to pray for our church family. Today, we are praying for Betty Sneed. So Psalm 14 opens up, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God." I think when we hear that statement, we automatically might think that the psalmist is talking about someone who is foolish on an intellectual level. Not a very bright person. But I think when we look at it in context, when we look at this word, he's really talking about someone who is foolish on a moral level. Somebody who thinks that they can live their life however they want, and they're not going to answer to anybody, and they are certainly not concerned about God's law. Sort of the opposite of the psalmist that we were reading last week, when we were reading Psalm 119. Last week, we were reading about a man who loved God's word, who knew the importance of living a righteous life, and who knew that there would be consequences for not living up to that law. He desired righteousness because he desired to do the things that were pleasing to God. This psalmist starts out saying, the fool in his heart says exactly the opposite of that. This person has rejected the wisdom of God and has decided that their way is better and they're going to live however they want. Now, of course, we see this in the world. There's some very, very smart, intelligent people who are much smarter than I am, who have decided that in their heart there is no God. There is no one they're going to answer to, and they are going to live however they want, and they have become fools. It says that God is looking down, looking for somebody who understands the importance of his word. He can't find anyone. Everybody has turned and went and done what they think is best. This psalm is really written from the perspective of the Jewish people. And they're talking about the Gentiles. God is looking out among the Gentile people to see if there's anybody out there who is seeking him, who knows him. And of course, there's not. Now, we're all Gentiles. But when I think about the difference between the Jewish people and the Gentiles, the Jewish people stood for people who were God's chosen people. God had intervened in their people, in their nation, and had brought them salvation, brought them into a relationship with him. The Gentile people are really also symbolic of man without that intervention of God, of what man is like away from God. We don't seek him. We don't know him naturally. We know of him. We see evidence of him, but in our flesh, we decide what we want is better. We become fools. We are fools. And we seek our own way and not his. I think the one important thing for us to think about today as followers of Christ is, unfortunately, even as people who know God, know the importance of his righteousness, know the importance of living a life that's pleasing to him and what Christ paid to redeem us, sometimes we still live like fools. We still live like these people who say in their heart, there is no God. I'm not going to answer for how I live my life. And while we do have forgiveness, we know we're going to stand before Christ one day and answer for the way that we have lived as followers of Christ. But we get this idea in our head sometimes, it seems like, and we are literally living like practical atheists. We're not living in accordance to God's word. We're doing what's right in our own eyes. So I think it's a good opportunity as us reading this psalm today for a little self-examination. Lord, search for me. Know my heart. Try me. See if there's any wicked way within me. And God, remind me of the importance of spiritual wisdom. Help me to walk in a way that is pleasing to you today.